about the Liberal government and the funding cuts that have been put into place. Okay, so everyone has their own opinion and everyone's entitled to it. At the end of the day, we can take those opinions and the energy that we're all feeling and work together to really promote change. Now, as Christine mentioned, this could be a process that takes 1 year, it could take 3 years, it could take 5 years. Like, holy mackerel, we had a plan in place 10 years ago when this happened, and look at what's happened now this past week. I don't know about how you folks feel, but I find it completely unacceptable that we treat wildlife, that we're taking away their homes, and they have nowhere else to go, so they're finding their way into our environment. So talking about government and stuff, most of you have seen the comments from the Minister of Natural Resources, Bill Morrow, this past week, where there's no accountability at all. Okay, so I don't really want to point fingers, but I do want to use the term accountability here because that's what it really is all about. Now, accountability really strikes all of us. We as citizens are accountable. Our politicians are responsible and accountable to us. They're elected officials, and they need to hear the people's voices. Today is just the start of this process, and we're really counting on all of you to really join in. And it doesn't matter where you live in this great province of ours. You could live in Windsor, Ontario. You could live in Thunder Bay. You can live in the Greater Toronto area. At the end of the day, this is a provincial issue that just happened to hit home here in Newmarket, Ontario for us, okay? So on our Facebook page, you're going to see some new stuff happening on there in the next little while, where we're going to be welcoming in citizens from across this great province to join in our fight. And my goal and my dream at this point is to be able to take this type of rally down to Queen's Park and have 5,000 people parking their butts there and demanding change from the Minister of Natural Resources for more. So, fantastic. So let's take a look at some realistic things that are happening right now. Our society and large part of our communities are rapidly expanding, and that's really true for the Greater Toronto area. We see wetlands, we see forests coming down, we see strip malls going up, we see houses going up, we see condo developments going up. At what expense? Our deers are wandering our streets, the raccoons no longer have a place to call home, they're in our garbage cans every week, but who can blame them? You know, they have nowhere else to go at this point. And what's our government's response to it? When it comes to bears, let's bring back the spring bear hunt so we can get rid of some of them. Totally not acceptable to be doing that to these creatures. Okay? Right. Now, here's the biggest problem that I have. And I know hunting's a part of life, and so is eating meat for a lot of people and stuff like that. Think about this. Spring bear hunt. What is wrong with that picture? They're not necessarily babies at that point, but mama bear is pregnant at that point. Bears typically deliver during the months of June and July. So when we have this spring bear hunt going on, we're not just killing one bear when they take a shot, we're killing several.
This happened in June. There you go.
Yep. So it's really unacceptable. So everyone has their opinions, but I'm going to give you a few of mine. So I'm not going to use blame, but I'm going to use accountability. So as far as accountability goes, personally, my own opinion is I hold our Liberal government in the province of Ontario the most accountable for this tragedy that happened. The reduction of funding to the Ministry of Natural Resources, even though they weren't spectacular before the breaks, has drastically reduced their ability to properly care and protect wildlife. And that's their mandate. Okay, so if we can't count on the Ministry of Natural Resources with their cushy government jobs of 8:30 to 4:30 Monday to Friday, meanwhile we have this poor bear cub wandering our streets and no one can come and help it, that's unacceptable. Now, tying the Ministry of Natural Resources and our liberal government together, what I would say is this. There's only 2 organizations within our great province that have the ability to use tranquilizers on wildlife animals. The Ministry of Natural Resources, which was not available, and one of our bear sanctuaries who were not contacted. Why were they not contacted? Okay, so that's a question that I have. I really want to figure out why we're not following those type of protocols.
Well, why did it take from Friday to kill the bear on Monday?
That's a fantastic question that I would love an answer to as well.
That bear, he never heard anything.
That's right.
Right. So the bear was walking around for 2 or 3 days without incident, not harming human beings, staying out of the way, just trying to find his way and finding food.
And lost in a maze.
The second part here that I want to add to the whole tranquilizer things, and one of the changes that I personally want to see here is for us to be more like some of our other communities in the country. If you take a look out at Vancouver, British Columbia, and a lot of places out in BC, they have bear care programs in place. There's an example, I forget the exact name of the city right now, but it's heavily populated by black bears. And before this program came into place, there was approximately 27 black bear fatalities a year at the hands of human beings, simply because of fear and because of people not knowing the proper protocols to take when it comes to being around a bear. Since that program's been put into place, those fatalities have dropped from 27 per year to 7 per year. That's saving 20 bears. So why can't we do that with our wildlife here in the province of Ontario?
We can.
Right? There's no reason why it shouldn't be able to happen. One voice at a time, we can end up making a difference. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is really education. Now, most of us who live in our houses and our condominiums and we get up and go to work in the city every day, we're not necessarily used to having wildlife around all the time. So we really need to have programs in place that educate us as citizens as far as what we can do to protect ourselves against encounters with animals, what to do and what not to do. Education would have saved this bear's life.
Yeah.
The bear climbed the tree because the bear was scared.
Yes.
The bear climbed the tree because the bear was scared. There's no other reason why you would go up there. Why was this bear scared? Well, if you're clanking pots and pans together, if you have a helicopter above you with the propellers going on, if you have police cruisers with sirens going, you're going to scare the wildlife animals. Okay? But on that same note, we can't blame. We can't actually point fingers of blame at the YRP. We need the YRP to be on our side. We need to have a dialogue with the York Regional Police. We need to have a dialogue with the Ministry of Natural Resources. We need to have a dialogue with our Premier, Kathleen Wynne, who is most responsible for this mess. Okay? So I would welcome any of those people to contact our group and to initiate a dialogue with us so that we can actually move this type of situation in the right direction. So just a couple of bear facts. Based on last stats, the total Canadian black bear population is between 369,000 and 476,000. That's a lot of bears. Okay? And we don't want them to end up becoming extinct or what have you. I mean, they're great, majestic animals, and we need to be taking care of them. So, black bears, they don't like human contact. They avoid human contact at all costs. It's not like this bear said, hey, I'm coming to Newmarket. You know? It's like, yeah, here, Newmarket's got great food. They got a pita pit down on Davis or whatever. No, that's not the case. This bear lost his way from his home. And why did he lose his way from his home? Probably because there's a condo sitting on it at this point. Okay? Black bears, when confronted by humans, very rarely attack. Very rarely attack. Most of you have seen the Facebook page. You can see the bear facts from today. 7 black bear fatalities since 1919 or something crazy like that, like 90 plus years.
1880.
Right. So, I mean, again, because we're not educated as far as wildlife and bears go, we make these ignorant assumptions that this bear is out to hurt us, and that's really not the case. Okay, so education is a key point on this as well. Okay, I mentioned previously, so I got the name of the place here. It's called Revelstoke, British Columbia, and you can actually look it up on Wikipedia if you want. So their Bear Aware program, and they have these in several towns, and it's really been designed to help prevent conflicts with bears. Okay, so Sorry, I'm reading right from the page here because it's a long paragraph. The main premise of these programs is to teach humans to manage food that attract bears, keeping garbage securely stored, harvesting fruit when ripe, securing livestock behind electric fences, and storing pet food indoors, and all measures promoted by bear programs. What would like I know we don't have 1,000 bears walking around the streets of Newmarket, but how cool would it be if we had an organization that was specifically out there to really care for our wildlife, that was available 24/7, not Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, because you know, no more of this cushy stuff. If it was up to me, I would say scrap the Ministry of Natural Resources. Let's give those hard-earned taxpayers' dollars to the people that will actually care for these animals. Okay, so getting towards the end here, I don't want to be boring everybody. So it's really up to each and every one of us here tonight, and to every person that cares, that resides within the province, to really take a stand. Make sure when you go home tonight, tell your friends about this event. Tell them that this is a provincial issue, not just a Newmarket issue. This is really about doing the right thing, taking care of animals, and making sure that this type of situation doesn't happen again unless it's absolutely necessary and the animal is going to attack a human being. Okay, so everything should try to happen before we actually take a life. Now, one more thing I wanted to point out. I want to work with the York Regional Police. I have nothing against them. These men and women do go to work for us every day. They protect our streets. They protect all of us. And you know what? We can point fingers, but chances are at some point in your life, you're going to need these people on your side, and they are always there. So we're not going to, I'm personally not going to be pointing the finger at them. I think the issue with the YRP is that they're not trained on how to handle these types of situations. So, for example, we didn't have tranquilizers because they're not allowed to have them at this point. What's one of the best deterrents to kind of get a bear to back off if it's coming down out of a tree? Something a cop always has on. Pepper spray. Pepper spray. They didn't use it. They were too far from the taser. Absolutely. There's many different options. The second thing, as far as with accountability goes, as far as the YRP is concerned, is that they were in contact with the ministry, and it was a mere 3 minutes. So, do we not have a walkie-talkie? Do we not have a cell phone? Like, where's the communication? And this is part of the problem as well, is that we need to have open communication between these different agencies. These agencies have to work together. Okay, so at the end of the day, I know Christine and I are both very committed to making this work, and we welcome everybody that wants to be a part of this movement, because it really is going to be a movement. We're not naive to think that this is going to be a one-day event where we're all going to show up and sing Kumbaya and everything's going to be fine. Life doesn't work that way. Anything worth doing in life takes a great deal of effort. I got to tell you, these last 2 days, my phone has been blowing up. Okay, I'm exhausted. I'm ready for pizza and beer after this because it's been absolutely
Tim Hortons
disgusting.
for coffee and donuts.
There you
Because
go.
I'm all there with my
Are you paying anybody to invite the ministry to come here today? Do you invite the
So-
ministry today?
No, I don't see anyone from the ministry here today. The minister.
I sent them the press release.
The minister Bill Morrow was invited here, as was Premier Kathleen Wynne. They were both advised to the event. So, and Justin Trudeau was as well. Obviously, Justin Trudeau's a little further away, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But at the end of the day, I am convinced that if we take this movement, we move it provincial-wide, we will get that sit-down meeting with the powers that be, and we will make the necessary changes. So in closing, I thank you all for coming out here tonight. If anybody else has anything that they would like to say, feel free to come up here. I just ask that you, whatever your words are, just be respectful in what you're saying, and please don't try to necessarily point fingers at any one organization. At the end of the day, we really need all these organizations to be on board with us so that we can have that open dialogue. Thank you all so much.